Okay, so Zach has been kind enough to loan me his objects assignment, which is broken, apparently. So what we're going to try to do is see if we can't debug this thing. And one of the things I encourage you to do when you're debugging someone else's code is first hit Control-T. Yes! Thank you, Zach, for hitting Control-T on your own. And then go through and just see if you can like straighten out basically what's up. So here I'm seeing an X position, a Y position, an X speed, and an image loader. And then, okay, we have an array of objects. Cool. So we're making 10 tree objects, whatever those are. And then we've got a window. We've got a thing about image mode. We've got a loading of our PNG file, which, first things first, is in fact in there. We have a background color. We have a frame rate. We've got a couple of comments. We're going through and we're initializing the tree array, it looks like. And then in draw, we've got the background again. And then looks like we're looping through the tree array, moving each tree, and then displaying them. And then down here we have, what's in here? Oh, I didn't. Okay. So, since you didn't move it over yet for readability, I'm going to move it over. Oops. Okay, so in the tree class, we have a method that does nothing. Okay, that's a constructor method for the record. Trees apparently don't have any variables. And then in moving, we're updating the position with the speed. Those parens are not needed. So set speed loops objects at the end of the screen. It's taking all of the X position and adding them together. Yep, it is in fact doing that. And then we have if X position is bigger than width, we're setting it back to 1, and then we're random Y positioning. And then down here we have our display method. Cool, I can tell you right now what this is doing because I've read this same problem before. This is stacking all the trees up and then making them go really, really fast. So, okay.
Majestic forest.
It is a super majestic forest.
It's even better when you put like to 10,000.
Yeah.
Put what to 10,000? The number of trees?
Yeah, the frame rate dropped to about half.
Yeah, so let's see. So up here, there's a number of trees here. I should probably just, so if I'm going to fiddle with the number of trees, how many spots do I have to change that in?
Like 3.
Like here, right? And then also down here, and then also down here. You guys all see that? Yeah, so these should be maybe better as trees dot length. And this guy again, trees dot length. So the reason I always encourage you to do that, whenever you're looping through an array, the right way to loop is to start at 0 and go up to the length of that array. That way, if you change the length of the array later, you won't accidentally kick out of bounds exceptions from your for loops. Or if you shorten the length, like you say, okay, so I'm going to do this with 100 trees, right? So you put in 100, and then you change it to 50. It's only going to draw the first 50 trees, and then you'll be just flat confused. You guys see that? Okay. No, the number of trees has nothing to do with the class itself. So if I change this to 100 trees, now I'm going to, or 1,000. Now it's going to go just hella fast, but they're all going to be stacked up. So, oh, God.
Because that's why 10,000 was better.
That's unusual.
Yeah, okay. I think we can stop that. All right, so But why? Does anybody see it?
Is it
Try to
because
update each individual tree, but it can only update each tree one at a time. So by the time it moves that ridiculous amount forward, it still has to move the other 9,900.
But why is it streaking them?
is it
That's why,
because
because each individual step of the first one moves, and then it has to go to the next one. But because they're all moving so fast, you can display it first.
No.
It technically fills the conditions. It creates like a line of trees next to each other.
So let me turn my frame rate way down. 2. 1. I think it's still gonna streak the trees. So why is it still streaking the trees? Let me show you a couple debugging things. Okay, so one thing here is in draw, right? You want to know what X position is, right? Like that seems to be part of the problem. So I'm going to do a print line of X position.
can you also do a print line of speed?
Sure. That's also a good question. You guys see that? Like, I'm having some problems. I'm going to print out the values of the variables. I'm going to set the frame rate low enough that I can watch them. So let's see, where'd my frame rate go? I'm going to set my frame rate to like 4. Right? So I should be able to watch those things change. Why are they always 1?
That's weird.
That's why this code has been fun. That's like
Yeah, totally, man. I definitely understand that frustration. Okay, so let me look at where those are changed. So all through here, where am I updating the X speed? X speed. Oops, let's spell speed right. X speed, find. Okay, so in my forest movie part of the file, I only have X speed as initialized and then printed, right? So if I go in here and find X speed, it's right there where in the move method where we're updating the X position. You guys all see that? That's it. So it's never getting changed. So the X speed's always 1. Is that a huge surprise? No. That's exactly what Zach intended it to be, right? It was always going to be 1. Okay? So X speed isn't my problem. What else is there?
It looks like it's your X.
Yeah, the X position. Yeah, so it looks like the X position's also 1 all through here, right? Every time the draw loop goes through, the X position is 1. What the heck?
Is it because it's displaying
Where am I changing that thing? X position, it's declared at the top and printed, and declared at the top and printed, and that's it. And in here, okay, so it's updated every time the move method's called, right? You guys see that? And then if it ever gets to the width, it's rebounded to 1. Wait, though. Every time the move method's called for every tree, you guys see that? Every time the move method gets called on any tree at all, the X position gets updated by 1. But what's the X position? Where does this variable live? Yeah, that variable is global. That's up here. Right? That's not a thing that a tree has. That's a thing in the program itself. Like, that's everywhere.
So every time a tree exists, every tree's position is updated.
Yeah, every tree's drawing from this same X position variable. You guys see that? Like, they're all drawing from the same spot. And so every time I move one of them, I'm updating the X position variable for all of them. Why is it always 1? Well, because when I have 1,000 of them, they wrap around the screen.
So
If I set this to 10,
it will jump up by 10 each time.
nice, good eye, Adam. You guys see that? So all 10 trees are right there, 10 pixels apart. There's the first one, and then it goes through it and moves. And so then there's a second one, 1 pixel to the right. And then it goes through and moves and displays and draws a third one, 1 pixel to the right of the second one. You guys see that? So how do I need to fix this?
Put the xPos variable within the tree object.
Yeah, the x position variable needs to be a property of the trees. So I'm just going to take that. Also, it should be in Camelback. So I'm going to put that under here, right? That's part of trees. Right, so a tree is going to have an x position. What else should a tree have? A y position. Oh, actually, let's skip that for a second. Let me just fix the Camelback notation issue. Find xpos, replace with xpos. And it's going to whine about this right now. Why is it whining about the variable xpos doesn't exist? Because it's part of the trees. You guys see that? It's not available here anymore. It's only available in the trees. And also I didn't capitalize it. But even if I capitalize it, it's still going to whine about it doesn't exist. Yeah, we could throw the debug thing in the move method or something. Let's just see if it's working.
It is slower and it is less stretched.
Well, now it's slower and not stretched
Well, it's
out.
still going at 1 frame a second. So that's why it's
It's going at 4 frames a second.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, so if I turn the frame rate back up, because I was debugging, right?
It's still not stretched though.
Okay, that looks like a tree. That's good. It's not stretched, but what's the problem?
They're all the same Y position.
Yeah, all the trees are at this exact same Y position of, what's the Y position right now? 60, and then it gets updated where? Oh, right there. So if it wraps, it gets changed to a random variable, right? But the Y position right now is global. You guys see that? So all the trees are taking from the same Y position.
So when it reaches the end, it will update the Y position randomly 10 times, and then we'll get the last Y position.
Oh god.
Yes. Yeah, and you can see it happen. So what's the issue? All the trees are sharing a Y position, right? So what do they need? Yeah, we need a class variable called Y position, and we're going to set that equal to. So you can start this at 60. That's fine. There's one thing here.
There's still a global position variable though.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Fair point. So there's still a global Y position variable, which is the one I'm using. So let me comment that out.
So that XH should also be in the
Okay.
No.
So hang on. So I'm in here in the move method, and I'm changing this to my tree variable's Y position, right? So each tree has a separate Y position now. But
your image needs to be in the same.
oh, thank you. And that needs to be updated as well. Okay, now when I hit go, what do I expect to have happen?
It'll do the same thing as before, but it won't all jump between all the positions. They'll spread out.
Yeah. Right now I expect them to stack at the beginning, and then when they hit the end, and wrap, it'll roll a random Y position for each tree, and then they'll be different. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Bam! Okay, so how do I fix that?
Who says it
Not
needs
making
to be?
Who says it needs to be? That is clearly a bug. You are
It's
never
a
going to be able to
feature.
pass that off as a
It's a
feature.
feature.
So, where do you need to roll the random Y position? Setup?
Right if you're in.
Yeah, you could kind of think about it in setup.
You could do
Okay. Oh. Wait, if I can't roll it here, right? I can't do like
Yeah,
y position equals, like, why can't I do that? Why isn't that going to work?
Because
it's still global.
you need to.
Yeah, that's not a variable that this thing recognizes in here, because that variable's part of the trees, right?
You need to make a method like set y position.
Oh, yeah. No. Easier. Right here, when you make a tree, have it roll a random y position too. You guys see that? Does that make sense? So when I make a tree, I'm going to roll a random y position. So they should all start at different spots now. And then when they wrap, it'll re-roll that y position.
Lovely.
I need
Row of trees.
to set that speed up. There is actually maybe some advantage in having the speed be a global variable.
You want them both to
They all move at the same time.
Yeah, they all move at the same rate. Okay, cool. Let's do this with 1,000 trees.
10. That's what you need.
It's like
You need a renderer for that one.
There's a problem. Why is there a problem?
It's turned into one big tree.
Yeah, I made one trunk instead of a forest. So how do I fix that? Let me turn this down to 100 just for the time being.
when you initialize the tree, or have it roll a random x.
Yeah, when I call the trees, right? When I make a tree, I should also make a random x position, and then they won't. What is this going to actually do?
Only one way to find out.
Is this going to re-roll their x positions all the time?
No,
Like, are they going to flicker around?
should do it for each one.
Yeah, and then when
Should've.
it reaches the end, it just goes back to the start.
Yep, this is going to roll a random starting position, right? And then the wrapping behavior will still apply. You guys see that? And the X position doesn't get re-rolled when it wraps, right? So it's not going to like flicker around. They'll just wrap.
It works.
That looks pretty good, actually.
Works-ish.
What do you mean it works-ish?
They vanish before going off the screen and they reappear
Oh,
on
okay.
the screen.
Yeah, so you can do some stuff with this to, okay, so fine.
It doesn't understand
Fine.
perspective, but it's
Um, Yeah, so what it's going by here is what mode did you have image in? Was it in center?
Center.
I think it was in center. Yeah. So the image mode is in center, right? So the X position and Y position that each tree has is related to the middle of the tree, right? Which is why they're disappearing when they're halfway on the screen and reappearing halfway on the screen. So if you wanted to fix that, you might adjust where they disappear and where they reappear. So instead of wrapping them to, oops, it's in the class. Instead of wrapping them to 1, you might wrap them to
one minus half the
minus half the width. Right, and then you can set this to width plus half the image width.
Yeah, I probably figured that out.
No, it's all good.
That worked.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So this is one of the important things about objects, right? You want to think for a minute about which object, like which properties should be part of the object itself and which ones are globally available for the whole program. So if you want something to be different for each tree, you need to put those variables in the tree class. Right? That's going to make them a part of each object that you create. So in this case, I actually have 10 different ones. Let me show you one trick for printing things out too. If you want to check where each tree is, in here, right, when you go through the array, and this is I'm gonna need to turn the frame rate down again for this to make sense. So when you go through the tree array, if you want to know where each one is, you can print out trees I dot y position.
Oh. Yeah, I was making report.
Thank you. So consider adding equals. I don't know what that's about.
It's like it's trying to
It's like,
make
what
it
are
a
you doing,
variable.
my dude?
Yeah, it thought I was trying to assign that variable to something, right? So this is a variable. That's the y position of each tree as it loops through the array. So that's going to kick out all those y positions. Oh yeah, there are 100 of them, aren't there? So there we go. There's all 100 y positions.
It's incoherent.
Right, and it's printing that out every one frame, right? Every time the draw method loops, and the draw method loops right now once every second. So the only reason it's not, yeah. See how it kicks back to the bottom every time it prints out a whole new set? Oh, what's up? What happened? Why is it changing?
It's catching up. Oh wait, no, you still don't.
No, the buggers started to wrap and re-roll. Right, remember the Y position re-rolls when they wrap? So what happened there was my 100th tree re-rolled. Right, and then its position updated.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Cool? Questions, deals? That makes sense? So when you're doing objects, yeah, the moral of the story is if you're trying to randomize where they appear, that goes in the constructor method. And then their variables need to go up here. If you wanted each one to have a different speed, so, oh, why is it complaining about the semicolon?
Because type.
Yeah, because I didn't declare this thing's type, right? So maybe I call that an integer speed, right? So now each tree is going to have a speed. What are they all right now?
One.
Yeah, right now they're all 1. If I wanted to make them move at different speeds, I might do x speed equals integer random. Oh god, it's a terrible idea, I guess. Okay, and now when I go through and create the 100 trees, I'm going to create 100 different speeds for each tree, and I'm going to set the frame rate back up because of course I should.
Some of them might not move ever.
Oh.
no, you still set the global. You set
Oh,
the
the
global
global.
variable.
Oh, there's still a global. And which thing is the movement method using? The move. Yeah, the move's using the global x speed, right? So capital X speed, now it'll use the one in the trees. Whoa. Oh god.
None of them are station. Wait, no, there's one stationary one.
This one
Is
is moving just very slowly. Oh, that one's stationary though. You guys see that? Why is that one stationary? Because it rolled a 0 for speed.
Is it re-rolling the X speed?
Nope, it's never re-rolling the X speed. The only time the X speed gets rolled... Oh god. Stop. So the only time the X speed gets rolled is when the tree is initially constructed. And if I go look in the program here, the trees are initially constructed here in the setup method. See these guys? That's a tree constructor. So that goes through and loads a new tree for each element of the array.
So there's a very low chance when you roll that, none of them will move.
Yeah, there's a very small but not 0 chance that when you push go on this program, it might look as though the program's broken because none of the trees will move. There's an extremely small chance that that could occur. Please do not put this thing into the draw method. So,
You should show us.
okay, I'll show you. So, oops.
Ready for things to get fucking weird.
Okay, so if you put that in here,
Ah!
everything gets mega snowball-y. Why? Because every 60th of a second, it's recreating all the trees.
This is what it looks like.
And then trying to go through and move and update all of them.
It still looks like they're moving backwards now.
Yeah, it does still look like you're flying through a forest, so this would technically be a pass on the assignment. Yeah, so you should initialize your variables only once. They should not ever be initialized in the draw method. Okay? Everybody with me on that?
Okay, be good.
Okay. Good work. Solid work on this, Zach.